We would be honored if you would join us.
In Revenge of the Sith, we see Anakin's pivotal turn in Palpatine's office, how he sacrificed Mace Windu in order to keep Palpatine alive, and thus learn his teachings of immortality. Throughout the trilogy, including the animated Clone Wars, we see the inner man Anakin is, who he is at the core if stripped of his force powers and weapons, and who he becomes. We see him as this gallant knight and protector of all things that are good in the galaxy, protector of children, and all things of positive energy. So it leaves one confused how he just so randomly killed the Younglings like it was a walk in the park, with no remorse whatsoever. Even after being told that he's going to be a father to his own child with Padme, he still walked into that room and ignited his weapon, callously. So, how exactly does he do it so easily? And why, of all things, could he not have just let them go and not have told the Emperor? Let's examine this with a few sources, one of which being George Lucas himself, and the main one which will explain how he so easily killed them. It's a small dialogue from the novel The Dark Lord, The Rise of Darth Vader, which takes place after Revenge of the Sith, and is now, as you know, Legends. The setting is where Vader goes back to Coruscant to take over the now empty temple and turn it into Palpatine's headquarters, an office, retrieving all the Sith holocrons. I hope you enjoy. Here we go. In his mind's eye, Vader saw his and the 501st's march to the temple gates, their wrathful attack, the mad moments of bloodlust, the dark side, unleashed in all its crimson fury. Some moments he remembered more clearly than others, pitting his blade against that of Swordmaster Sindralig, beheading some of the very masters who had instructed him in the ways of the Force, and, of course, his cold extermination of the Younglings, and with them, the future of the Jedi Order. He had wondered beforehand, could he do it? Still new to the dark side, would he be able to call upon its power to guide his hand and lightsaber? In answer, the dark side had whispered, "They are orphans. They are without family or friends. There is nothing that can be done with them. They are better off dead." But this recalling, weeks later, curdled his blood. This place should never have been built. So as we can see, as Vader remembers this moment vividly, he recalls that his initial reaction towards killing the Younglings are shock and denial. However, once he started to imagine Padme dying, he knew what he had to do. As Palpatine said,
"Do not hesitate, show no mercy."
This was a motto that helped fuel the Sith through their darkest decisions. I find Anakin felt some hesitation or doubt whether he could go through with it or not, because the small grain of sand within Vader that was Anakin still gleamed time to time, depending on the situation. It was also mentioned in the book that Vader's slaughter of the Younglings is a major proponent in sealing his fate to the dark side. George Lucas himself has also said in interviews that Anakin knew he had to kill all the Jedi as Palpatine instructed, because if he didn't, then they would grow up to hunt them down and to possibly kill them later on down the road, which is exactly what happened with Luke, oddly enough. So the best thing to do was to kill them all right then and there, so as to leave no stone unturned. The last point I'd like to mention is that Anakin had initial practice for this very moment, and it was actually a foreshadowed scene that many of us may have missed if we now go back to episode 2 and rewatch this and correlate it with what happened in episode 3.
And not just the men, but the women. And the children, too. They're like animals. And I slaughtered them like animals. I hate them!
Many of you may think this was the reason Anakin can be seen crying to himself after his dark deeds are complete on Mustafar. That actually isn't the answer at all. That's something I'd like to dive deeper in for tomorrow's episode, if you so wish. Let me know in the comments. Also, let me know what you thought of Anakin's slaughter of the Younglings. Was it written poorly in the films, or was it just bad directing? That's why I really like covering these videos, because it brings to light all the hidden things we didn't know about in the novelizations. I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for joining me today. I hope you all have a great day or night, wherever you are watching this in the galaxy. Please hit like to support the channel, and I'll see you all in tomorrow's episode of Star Wars Theory. Until then, my fellow Jedi and Sith friends, remember,
the Force will be with you always.